actually get on this young horse, we need to consider what we're going to ride the young horse in, and we're going to need to consider what type of bits we're going to use. In the bitting process, the first part of bitting a horse is using this halter. Most people don't think of a halter as being part of the bitting process, but if you reviewed some of the earlier tapes we've made, you'll see that we put a lot of emphasis on this young horse, paying attention to the halter, backing up off the halter, giving to the pressure that this halter puts on the horse's head. If the horse is responsive to the halter and listens to what you're saying, then the bitting process will be much easier and a lot smoother. As we go to ride this young horse, there may be a couple of bits that we might want to use to break a young horse, depending on how well you get along with a particular bit. One of the most common bits that is used on breaking a young horse is a snaffle bit. This is a broken mouthpiece bit. You can see it's broken here in the middle. This gives for a lot of leverage in the horse's mouth. Most people will break a young horse in a snaffle bit or a bosal, which we'll show you here in a second. But this is a D-ring snaffle. The reason it's called a D-ring snaffle, if you look here at the end, the ring portion of it makes a D shape. And so they call it a D-ring snaffle. Now the actual mouthpiece of the snaffle comes in different sizes, the length of these shafts here making up the mouthpiece. The smaller the shaft, the more severe the bit is going to be on the young horse. You can see here that this one is a rather large circumference here and size of this mouthpiece, so this is not going to be real severe on the young horse. If we go to another D-ring snaffle, this one here, same shape, the mouthpieces are a little bit smaller. So this is going to be more severe on a young horse. It may cause the horse to be a little bit more tender in his mouth as he goes about the training process. If you're going to use a snaffle bit that has a small mouthpiece, you need to be very careful and the amount of pressure you put on the horse's mouth with your hands, and stay very light with your hands. As we go through the training process, after the horse has been ridden for maybe 90 days or so, you may want to go to just a light curb bit such as this one, or a Sweetwater bit that you can use the horse in. There's no need to rush into using a particular curve bit when you're training a young horse. Snaffle bit will work fine. You can show them in a snaffle bit until they're up to 4 years of age. So there's really no need to rush a horse into a curve bit. If you've done the bitting process correctly, they will be responsive and will respond to your aids and cues given with your hands. Today we're going to ride this young horse in this homemade bosal here. It's made out of a lariat rope with some cotton rope as the reins and just a leather strap here going around the horse's head. This is a very small bosal, gives a lot of pressure on the horse's nose. We'll be able to stop this young horse when we get on and ride her, make her give her head using this particular training bosal. This is a homemade one. They're easy to make. They sell some, a side pull, and some other types of bosals that you can use to start a young horse. Once you progress on in the bitting process, you may want to go to a bosal that's a little bit larger in circumference around its nose piece that you're actually going to show this horse in as you go to the show ring or wherever you might be going. This particular bosal will not be as severe on the horse's nose as the one we were using during the training process, but if we've done our work up until now, she will respond to the very light pressure that this bosal is going to put on her nose and going to put out in this section on the underneath part of her jaw. So we can use several different things in our training process to start this young horse. We can use a snaffle bit, or we can use a bosal. It just depends on how comfortable you are with that particular piece of equipment and how well you get along using it in breaking your young horses. Neither of them are going to be very severe on the horse's head, so if you do happen to get a little rough with them at times, maybe yank on their head and get in their mouth a little bit, it's not going to cause them some severe pain. If you happen to get an older horse that might be a little tough in his mouth, might not respond as much as you would like, you can go to a twisted snaffle, which has some curves in the snaffle bit, give a little more added pressure to the mouth, kind of tender up the corners of his mouth, and allow the horse to be a little bit more responsive. Again, these come in different sizes as well. You can get smaller mouthpieces as well as larger diameters. Again, the same principle applies. The smaller diameter you have, the more severe the bit is going to be. The snaffle bit, when you put it in the horse's mouth, will work on the corners of the horse's mouth. The bosal is going to work on the bridge of the nose and underneath the jaw. So you got two different actions applying there in the bitting process, but both are very successful in getting your young horse started and getting them off in the right direction.